Hello, friends. Happy Tuesday. It's time for another episode of Tuesday Live at 5. This is Lena Gersa. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Cambridge, Ontario, Canada. And today I am all about the fabulous Hugs for Love bundle from the Stampin' Up! 2025 January to April Mini Catalog. Now, I'm getting a software update. Very inopportune timing. Thanks, Apple. We're just going to cancel that. There we go. And deal with it later. So welcome. I'm seeing some of the comments as you're coming in, greeting me from cold, bitter, snowy. I think all of North America is experiencing bitterly cold or unseasonably cold temperatures. It is awful here right now. We are minus 35 wind chills. And I know that that's the same for US and Canada, because once we hit a certain level, our Celsius and Fahrenheit end up the same. So it is cold here, and I know it's cold all across the US. Excuse me, hearing it from demonstrator friends in Texas and Louisiana where they're getting snow, which never happens. So it certainly is quite the week for wintry weather. So if you're joining me, let me know that you're watching me on this cold, bitter day. If you're watching me from down under, maybe it's a hot, sunny day. I don't know. It's the middle of your summer right down there. So let me know that you're here. It's always nice to know that someone's out there and where you're watching from. It's always nice to know. And while you are doing that, I am going to flip to my desk and show you the product that we're going to be focusing on today. So here we go. The Hugs for Love bundle. This is the bundle here. Punch and stamp set bundle has a fabulous label. I'm actually going to show you the end of this. It's easier to see the shape of the label here than it is on the very reflective top of the punch, but it's a great shape label and it's quite large. I'm actually going to show you some tricks for how to reduce the size of this if necessary. So great punch, and of course coordinating stamps. Great for Valentine's Day, but for any other occasion as well. Actually, the first two cards we're going to make aren't really Valentine's cards. So I will show you lots of uses for this. And then we also, in the same mini catalog, have another coordinating stamp set called Bright Borders. And same label shape. So we have some frames that coordinate with the punch. We have some additional sentiments. So lots of possibilities. You can grab the bundle and the extra stamp set and have just a whole world of possibilities. So I'm going to set these aside for now. We are going to be using the punch, so I'll keep the punch out. But let me greet all of our friends here. All right, Mia's in Cincinnati where it's cold. Terry's cold. Jeannie K, snowy in Fredericton. Okay, hi Alexina, how are you? Hi Donna. Yes, I'm sure it is cold in Nova Scotia. Hi, Louise from up the street. I know it's cold where you are. Mia, we have not had school canceled. We have to get to minus 35 with wind chill before they will cancel buses. They won't close schools, but they'll cancel buses, mainly because it's really hard to start diesel engines in that kind of cold. So hi, Nancy. How are you? Hi, Liata. And oh, Joyce, you got that punch. Awesome. Mary's cold in Indianapolis. Hi, Cheryl. Cheryl, I can't thank you enough. Cheryl dropped off a boatload of wet cat food. We have some feral cats that we are trying to get through the winter. We're feeding them. We have shelters built for them. And Cheryl very graciously dropped off a whole bunch of food to help us keep them fed today. And that was most appreciated. Hi, Jean and Julie. Hi, Linda and Laura and Sonia. Hello, hello. All right, let's get to some stamping. Here we go. First card we're going to do is this sweet little baby card. I don't know what it is. I love plaid for babies. It's just, I don't know. To me, I love plaid for babies. So we are going to put together this one. I'll show you how it's done. I've done a little bit of the heat embossing ahead of time, but to start, we're going to get some of these stamps from this set going. So I just have a 4 by 5¼ inch piece of basic white cardstock. My color palette, I can't even really show you. My labels are so faded. It's Basic Beige, Moody Mauve, and Petal Pink that we are using on this one. And we're going to use 4 different heart stamps from the stamp set. So I'm going to start with Moody Mauve and this large, solid heart image. And I'm going to ink it and stamp it off. Okay, I want it to be soft, not super bold. I'm going to add one down here. We're not going to see a lot of these because much of these images is going to get covered up. So we're just kind of creating a background. Now, while I have the Moody Mauve ink out, I'm going to also do this little striped heart in Moody Mauve, but full strength. So we'll add a few of these. Now, when I'm stamping these, I like them to be touching each other. I find when I'm creating a collage, you want some of your elements to actually be overlapping. That creates a little bit more cohesion and visual interest. All right, next one we're going to do is this one. This one for me is so cute for baby. It's got the little stitch detail there. And we're going to use some basic beige. So let's ink that up. And we'll add a couple of these guys. And maybe one. Oh, Lena's got an inky finger. Look at that. We're going to have to stamp a couple extra hearts. This is how we fix that. Somewhere. Oh, see right there. I got ink on the side of my pinky. We're going to stamp a couple extra hearts there to hide that. No problemo. All right. Last color we're going to use is Petal Pink. Now we're going to stamp these off because I want it to be really, really soft. Oh, let's make sure that's fully inked before we try to stamp off. I think I need to order a new Petal Pink pad. This one's getting rather worn. It's not taking ink very well anymore. We'll add a couple here. Let's see what it looks like if I actually, maybe I'll stamp these full strength over this. There we go. Problem solved. No more smudge. We'll add a couple more full strength just because we want this to look balanced. There we go. That's our background. Quick and easy. All right, let's get these stamps out of the way for now. Now, we are going to, nope, we're not going to do that yet. First, we're going to layer our DSP. So I have a piece of Timeless Plaid. This is my go-to DSP in this mini catalog. It is fantastic. If you have not gotten a pack or 2 or 3 of this DSP, you really need to pick some up. It literally works for pretty much every occasion you can possibly think of. Masculine cards, even holidays, baby, you name it. So this is just a 2 by 5 1/4 inch strip of one of the patterns in that pack. And we're going to add some detail with some of this Petal Pink scalloped ribbon. So I'll hold up the sample. Can you see that delicate little scallop peeking out from behind the DSP? So we are going to do that. I'm going to show you how. It's really quite easy. So this is about, I don't know, 7 inches of the Petal Pink scalloped ribbon. And I'm just going to cut up the full length. So I'm going to cut it in half lengthwise. You do need a good pair of fabric or ribbon scissors for this. You don't want to be trying to do this with your paper snips. You will get lots of messy frayed edges. Okay, so I've cut that all the way up. Then I'm going to take my piece of DSP and I'm going to run some seal right across one long edge. And yes, I know I got it on my grid paper. That's okay. We'll switch out the grid paper when we're done. Then I'm going to lay my half piece of ribbon down on my work area, and I'm just going to layer my DSP right over top. By doing it this way, you're not fighting with the ribbon and having to stick it and reposition it and all that annoying stuff. And you can see that you're getting a nice even border of ribbon. Okay, can you see that? So that's one. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. Again, run the seal right along that edge. And we'll take our ribbon. And again, just lay our DSP right on top. Okay, so I purposely cut my ribbon longer than the DSP. That is so that we can wrap the ends around the back and secure them so we don't get any fraying. Okay, so I'll show you how we're going to do that. But first, we're going to add a little bit more seal to our DSP, and we're going to layer this on. So this, sorry, I said this was 2 inches. It's actually 1 3/4. 1 3/4 by 5 1/4. This piece is 2 by 5 1/4. What just happened? Did I lose my mic? Can you all hear me? Give me a hello. Just want to make sure you're still hearing me. I just got a notification in my headset that my device was disconnected. So I'm a little bit worried. Okay, you can hear. All right, thank you, Louise, for letting me know that. I'm going to try and get this on a little bit more even. Usually I use seal when I'm doing narrow borders, but today I decided to live dangerously and use Sorry, usually I use Tombow when I'm doing narrow borders. Okay, so there is my piece layered. Now, to secure these ends, I'm just going to wrap them around the back side. So I'm going to add a little bit more seal where each piece of ribbon comes around. And then I'm just going to wrap these ends and secure them. And that way, nothing's going to fray, and I'm going to have a nice, neat, finished edge. There we go. Okay, just see how nice and tidy that is on the ends. All right, now that is going to get layered on our stamped panel. So this time I am going to add a little bit of liquid glue. My voice is a little bit hoarse today. I apologize. I'm going to try to take it up a notch or two in pitch so that maybe I can avoid some of the croaking. When my voice gets fatigued, a certain range of my vocal range, or certain section of my vocal range gets very raspy. So I have to actually speak at a higher pitch in order to make that not happen. So there we go. There is our layered panel. Now that is going to get adhered to a 4 1/8 by 5 3/8 piece of Moody Mauve cardstock. And this time I am going to use some liquid glue that is almost empty. I had an order arrive today that I have not yet unpacked that has lots of adhesive in it. I'm going to have to let my glue thaw out before I use it because pretty sure it froze while it was sitting on the porch while I was at work today. All right, so there we go. There is our front panel. Now that is going to get glued. I'm actually going to get rid of this piece of grid paper because it's a little bit sticky. And I don't have glue residue on my card base. So we'll get that out of there. And I'm going to secure my card front now to my card base. So this is 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, scored at 4 1/4. So we'll just fold that in half along our score line. All right. Thank you all for letting me know you can hear me. I'm glad you guys have my back. All right. So we're going to add a little glue here. I'm going to have to get some more Tombow. Either that or stick with seal. And we're going to pop this on to our white card base. There we go. Looking cute already. All right, now it's just a matter of doing some layering. So my label here, so the frame on this label is heat embossed in white on Moody Mauve cardstock. Then I stamped that large solid heart, but full strength this time, tone on tone in Moody Mauve. And then I heat embossed a sentiment. This sentiment is actually from the Storybook Friends stamp set in the mini. I heat embossed that in white as well. So we have this layered sort of look on our label. I have 2 circles. This one is 2 3/8 inches? Yes, embossed with the Forever Plaid embossing folder. This is Petal Pink cardstock. The ribbon, Terry, is Petal Pink scalloped ribbon. Let me just make sure I'm giving you the right name. I've got my mini catalog right here. I can't remember names of things. All right, embellishments. Where are you, ribbon? There you are. Petal Pink 3/8 scalloped ribbon. That is the official from the catalog name. Okay. All right. Now, this white circle is cut using the Spotlight on Nature dies. That name I do remember. So we're going to layer our Petal Pink embossed circle onto our white die cut circle. Again, using an almost empty Tombow bottle. So we'll pop that on there. And this fits just perfectly inside that die cut circle. And then we're going to pop up our label. So we'll just add a few dimensionals. And pop that on. Now I just want to make sure my plaid is straight. It's a pet peeve of mine when plaid is crooked, unless it's intentionally diagonal like the DSP. All right, and then that is going to get glued. I'm not going to double pop. I am going to glue it flat onto my card base. We will use seal so that we don't have to fight with the liquid glue. There we go. And then our last touch is some of these fabulous antique pearls. So these, again, are part of the Storybook Moment Suite. So I should mention the Timeless Plaid The Storybook Friends stamp set and these embellishments are all part of the Storybook Moment Suite. I will be featuring them at some point in the near future. So these are, yeah, they're antique pearls, and they're kind of basic beige in color. They're really, really lovely, and they're quite flat as compared to regular pearls. So they mail obviously much better. So I'm going to use a large one in the middle, and then I'm going to use a medium one above and below that, just to kind of create a little bit of an interest point there. Looks like a little buttons, maybe on a baby's sweater. And there you go. That is our finished card. I'll just quick show you what I did on the inside. I had just a leftover little strip. This is like a 1/2-inch strip of the DSP that I glued at the bottom. And then I used a sentiment from the Hugs for Love stamp set. Lots of hugs and kisses, and the itty bitty hearts. Okay, so there we go. That is our first card for baby. Get my inks out of the way. We're going to move on to number 2. All right, number 2 is one I posted earlier. I think I posted this one today. It's getting hard to remember when I posted when. I do my posts sort of all in bulk, so sometimes it's hard to remember. Now, I will say, when I did photograph this, these little hearts ended up looking black in the photo. They're actually gold metallic. You can probably see them flashing in the light there. So this is not meant to be a Valentine's card. It's just a hug. How many of you know someone who could use a hug? I could use a hug. So sending a card is the next best thing. So let's put this one together. This one's pretty quick and easy, but I am going to show you some tricks for how to reduce the size of the label so that you can layer. Okay. All right. So we're going to start by stamping our postage stamp label here. So this is die cut using the perennial postage dies. And I do need to take a sec and clean my stamps from the last card because we are using entirely different colors. And we do not want to cross-contaminate our ink pads. So we'll just give these a quick scrub. Make sure that they are clean. And we're good to go. I'm using the same for heart stamps. And again, I like to work from large to small when I'm creating a collage. So we're going to start with our, actually, we're not using this stamp today. I forgot we're not using it on that card. We're going to start with the largest heart. This time I'm stamping in boho blue. And again, I'm going to stamp off. So let me just get rid of any moisture that was on there. We'll ink that up. Now, because this is a large stamp with a lot of solid real estate, you're going to want to have something underneath your photopolymer stamps. You could use a Stampin' Pierce mat. You could stamp on our glass mat, which is underneath my grid paper here. I don't like to use it in videos because it reflects the light, and I end up with quite a glare. So whatever you are using, it needs to have a little bit of give or be perfectly flat so that when you stamp with this solid photopolymer stamp, you get a nice image. And I think I have a cat hair on here. Yes, I do. Of course I do. It is a cat house. The cats think the studio is theirs. I just rent it from them. And the rent that I pay is snuggles and scratches. They are something. So I'm being a little bit more liberal with this stamp than I was on the previous card because we want to really create a really sort of almost solid background. Okay, so that is our boho blue. Next, we're going to come in with Petal Pink. Not Petal Pink, Pretty in Pink. Pretty in Pink. And we're, again, using that striped heart from the stamp set. So we'll just add a few of these guys. And again, I am taking care to make sure some of my images are overlapping. Makes it look a little more cohesive. You also want to make sure some of your images kind of extend off the edge of the the die cut. Sorry, my voice is just not cooperating today. All right, next we are going to stamp the itty bitty hearts using real red. So you're probably thinking, wow, I can't believe she's using red and pink on the same card. We were always taught that red and pink clash. Well, you know what? They actually work rather well together. So you be the judge. I'll stamp these, and then you tell me whether you think they clash. I feel like they're just fine. So again, I'm coming in, doing some overlapping, making sure I'm getting nice cohesive look. There we go. Oh, I think I need one more little bit up top. There we go. Okay, what do you think? Did they clash? I don't think they do. I think they work quite well together. All right, so that is our background. Quick and easy. And what's really fun is playing around with different color combinations with these heart stamps. Okay, next up, we are going to layer that. So this, I should give you the dimensions. This is, I think, the second largest die from that die set. It is 3 1/4 by 4 1/2. Okay, so my real red matte is 3 3/8 by 4 5/8. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and layer that. But first, we're going to add a little bit of gold twisted thread. So this is an online exclusive. This came out, I believe, in November with that round of online exclusives. And I love this stuff. It doesn't fray. We've had some gold thread in the past that was either super fine, like it was like single strand, or it was really uncooperative and really hard to work with, or it frayed. We've had several iterations of gold cording or thread. And I have to say, this is by far the favorite of what we have had over many years. So I'm taking a double length and I'm going to lay it across my panel. And then I'm going to wrap it around the back side and secure it with a glue dot. Okay, so there's one. I'm going to trim this off so I don't have a whole bunch of length here. There we go. And again, another glue dot. And these little postage, the notches in the postage stamp help to keep this from sliding. It also helps you get it straight. It's perfect. It's a perfect guide. I agree, Mia. The Marbled Elegance DSP does have, and that was actually kind of my inspiration. I often will look closely at the color combinations in designer paper and draw my color palettes from there. It's a great resource. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and layer my postage stamp onto my real red cardstock here. Normally, again, I would use a little Tombow, but we're going to live dangerously because I don't want to fight with an almost empty bottle. There we go. Okay. And then we have also some more Timeless Plaid. I told you this Timeless Plaid DSP is the bomb. So this is another pattern from that pack. And I love this blue and white gingham. It's so fresh. So it's boho blue and white. So this is a actually, what size is this? This is 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. And we're going to layer it on a 4 by 5 1/4 inch real red panel. So a little bit different measurements than I typically use, but it's always nice to keep it fresh, right? And then we're going to layer our stamped panel onto our gingham. So a little bit of glue. And the best thing about plaid and gingham is it gives you lines to help you get your pieces straight. It is fantastic. And there we go. And then that is going to get glued onto a basic white card base that is 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2. So we'll fold that in half along our score line. And add a little bit of glue. And then we're going to pop that on. Just like that. Okay, so there is our card base done. Now let's do some work with our label die or label punch. So I have just I'm going to start with the red because it's full size, a scrap of red cardstock, and I'm going to stamp in real red ink. So real red on real red. And I'm using this little frame die, or not frame die, it's frame stamp. And we're going to ink that up and stamp. And then we'll pop that out with our punch. So you will find you get a little bit of a border with these frames. Okay, so there is our punch label. Now, let me show you what we're going to do with this label. So we are going to start by stamping our Big Hug sentiment. Let's move the punch out of the way for a minute. And we're stamping it, not in red, we're stamping it in boho blue. Hello, Briar from New Zealand. Welcome. I'm betting it's not cold where you are today. We're all here complaining about the cold here in North America, and I'm betting it is quite lovely where you are. So there is my sentiment. And what I'm going to do now is just punch this out, and I'm going to punch it so that, do you see how my sentiment is more towards the bottom of in the window there? So I'm going to punch it. I don't know. Let's make sure it's straight. There we go. We're going to pop it out like that. This actually may be a little smaller than what I did, but that's okay. All right. Now I'm going to take a Post-it note. I should not put my punch away. And I'm going to adhere just my punched label to a Post-it note like that. Okay. Then I'm going to reinsert it into the punch. And you see how I can adjust the size of my label? Easy peasy. So I just want to make sure the sides are flush. And yeah, that looks about right. Might be a little bit small compared to what I did, but close enough. All right, so there is my smaller label. Now, do you see how when I layer this, I still have flush edges here? I don't want that. I want to see red all the way around. So what we're going to do is do a little trimming. So this label is 2 inches wide. Okay, so what I'm going to do is slide this over 1/8 of an inch. Okay, so I'm at 1 7/8 here. And you can do this on a trimmer as well. I'm just going to trim that, and then I'm going to flip it around. And this time I'm going to line it up at 1 1/4. And then when I layer, ta-da! Isn't that cool? Nifty little trick for you. And a great way to extend the usage of this fun punch. All right, we're going to stamp a little heart in behind our sentiment. Oh, thanks, Briar. I'm glad I hope you're enjoying summer. I could use a little sun. I think we all could right about now. It is positively frigid here this week. So I'm, again, inking up my Petal Pink heart. And this time I did it stamped off. I feel like I didn't love that it was full strength on this one. So I did it stamped off on this one. I like it a little bit better that way. Makes it easier to read the sentiments. All right, now we're going to pop this up. Probably 2 dimensionals is sufficient for this one. And then we're just going to center that on our label. And there we go. You've got a perfectly layered label. You like that? All right, so that is going to get glued onto the front of our card. I'm going to use some seal again. Yes, Deb, it certainly does make it hard for card. Oh, sorry, it's Louise. Yes, my card did not start this morning. Yeah, I won't get into it, but suffice to say, hubby had to drive me to work and pick me up today. It has been an interesting day, but it's all good. We're all home, so we're good. Okay, last couple of touches. We're going to add a little bow tied with our gold twisted thread. This stuff is awesome for tying. It holds its shape. The knot stays nice and tight. You don't have to worry about it slipping like some of our previous versions of gold cord. So we'll give that a trim. And then I'm going to just grab a little glue dot here. What I like to do when I'm using single thicknesses of twine, as soon as I find what I did with my scissors, oh, I know where they are. They're behind me. I was prepping for a class and I grabbed them. There we go. I like to just take a glue dot and cut it in half. And then I just take and I roll it into a little booger there. I'm going to press it down onto my card right where the gold cord meets my red label, and then just press the knot in like that. Okay. All right, so last touch is some of these fun gold heart sequins. This is another online exclusive part of the Marbled Elegance suite. And I'm just going to scatter a few little hearts across my card because they're so cute and they're fun, and why not? Who doesn't want a bunch of gold hearts on their card? Oops. Even my husband would like them. So the one thing I find with these, I like them straight. I don't know, maybe I'm just OCD. I just really like my hearts to be straight up and down. If I'm doing them wonky, I will do all of them purposely wonky, but when I'm doing them straight, I want them straight. So there we go. There is our finished card. On the inside of my sample, I stamped, this sentiment is actually from the coordinating bright border stamp set. Okay, and then I just added a few more hearts on the inside. Okay, all right, so there we go. That is number 2. Set those aside, clean up our mess a little bit, and we need to clean our stamps as well. I should have extras at the stamp set so that I don't have to clean them every time in between, but I don't. So you're gonna have to wait for me to clean my stamps. Sorry. All right, we're almost there. Problem is we use nice bold reds on this card and we need to use nice soft colors on the next card. So we need to make sure we get rid of all that red, because red and Pool Party do not play well together. All right, our last card, again, really simple, little bit of a fun fold, not really even a fun fold, but I will show it to you. Here we go. This is our last project. So a little bit of a sort of non-traditional Valentine's card in terms of color. I get tired of the red and white, so this is a little bit softer and pastel. Reminds me of candy hearts, right? So it just opens like this. Not really a fun fold. It's really just a regular card with just an extra inch chopped off. So let me show you how to put this one together. So I'm starting with a Pool Party card base. It's 5.5 by 7.5 inches. So it's 1 inch shorter than a half sheet of cardstock. Okay. And then we are scoring at 4 1/4. We're going to fold in half. So that's going to give us our card base. Okay. Just like that. Then we're going to do some layering. So we have a piece of Pool Party cardstock. This is 3 by 5 1/4 inches, and I've embossed it using the Forever Plaid embossing folder. Okay, that is going to get layered on a piece of fresh Frisia cardstock. This is 3 1/8 by 5 3/8 inches. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and layer those first. I'm going to use my seal just because my Tombow is very nearly empty and I don't have a spare bottle kicking around close by. So we're going to, now I should mention, I don't normally put my glue on the larger piece, right? You typically always put your glue on the smaller piece so you don't end up with a sticky mess. But when you are applying seal, especially to embossed cardstock, you may find that the seal tears your cardstock because the cardstock fibers have been weakened by embossing them, right? And if you run your seal across there, you run the risk of peeling the layers of cardstock, which is why I laid my adhesive down on the unembossed layer. You just have to take care to come in from the edges enough so that you don't end up with glue where you don't want it. Okay, so that is our panel. Now we're going to do a little bit of stamping. And then I pull out all my bits here. So these little arches, oh my stars, this new Everyday Arches, well, there's a whole suite, but the Everyday Arches dies are my #1 must-have from this most recent product release. These dies are fantastic. Let me grab them. I'm going to show them to you. I didn't plan to do this, but I'm going to show you because goodness me. Oh, as I drop other things from the case, but here we go. There they are. This is how I store my dies. So I have magnet sheets inside. These are just empty stamp cases, and I put some DSP on them to make them pretty. The retired DSP, of course. But these dies are absolutely fantastic. Okay, so I use the second smallest die to cut 3 little arches here. And we're going to stamp a different image and a different color on each one. So I'm going to start with these itty bitty hearts. And we are going to stamp in Pool Party. So we're just going to ink this up. And I'm just going to stamp a bunch of random little hearts here. Now, if you were making a bunch of these, I would actually stamp like a sheet of cardstock and then die cut a whole bunch of these arches. I wouldn't take the time to stamp each one individually. But that, because we're doing a one-off, easy peasy. All right, why do I have Balmy Blue in here? That was not smart. I grabbed the wrong color. I need my Highland Heather. Hang on, let me grab my Highland Heather ink pad. Oh, Balmy Blue is above it on the shelf. I just reached a little high. Okay, so that is my color palette. Pool Party, Fresh Freesia, and Highland Heather. So we're going to actually, let's start with the Fresh Freesia. We're going to do our big solid heart in Fresh Freesia. Oh, Liata, you are going to love those arches. They are the bomb. Thebomb.com, as they say. So I'm just stamping that large heart. It's a little bit hard. You won't get a full image, right? Because this is a large stamp on a very small little die cut. But again, it gives you the impression that it was cut from a larger piece, right? And then finally, I'm going to keep that out because I will need it in a minute. We're going to stamp our little striped heart in Highland Heather. So here we go. My Highland Heather, I just re-inked it, so we'll see what happens. It was very dry. Oh yes, it's looking much darker than my sample. I don't use Highland Heather very much, except I use it more during Valentine's, and sometimes I use it for birthday cards, but it's not a color that I tend to grab very often, and so my ink pad had dried out quite a bit. All right, so there are our 3 little arches. Now they are going to get arranged onto our emboss panel. So again, we have the luxury of Plaid embossing that will help us get these all straight. Now, I purposely did not center them. I wanted them to be a little bit below center. If you are someone who likes symmetry, then you can certainly center these, but I'm not going to worry about that. So I'm going to add again a little bit of seal, and I'm going to put my arch on so it's flush with the Pool Party layer. Okay, I still want to see my Fresh Freesia matte in behind. Okay, so there's a 1. And holy cow, that's a lot darker than it was. Oh well, that's okay. And a 2. And a 3. Okay, just like that. Then we're going to add a little bit of this fabulous Fresh Freesia seam binding ribbon. This is a Sale Liberation freebie. So we're just going to layer some kind of across the middle of this middle little arch. So I'm just going to trim off a length. And again, we're going to add a glue dot. So there's one there. And same thing on the other side. There we go. Okay, then that is going to get glued onto our card base. Okay, it's going to go on right there. So again, we're going to live dangerously and use seal. It's harder to adjust when you're using seal, right? It grabs and sets quite quickly rather than Tombow, which gives you that wiggle time. All right, so here we go. Let's glue this on. So I'm gluing this onto the smaller panel on my card front. Just like that. Okay, and then we are going to work on our inside panel. We'll finish this front in a minute, but on the inside, I started with a 4 1/8 by 5 3/8 piece of Fresh Freesia cardstock, and I just realized this is too wide. This needs to be 3 inches by 5 1/4. This is a 4 by 5 1/4, so we're going to cut off an inch. There we go. Problem solved. All right, now before we stick this down, we're going to stamp some more of those itty bitty hearts in Fresh Freesia. So again, I got to get rid of, so I can probably get away with just stamping that off rather than cleaning it. It's a nice light color, Pool Party is. So whenever I'm changing ink colors and I haven't cleaned my stamp, I usually do like one just stamped on my grid paper to make sure that I'm going to get the color that I actually want. So I'm just kind of coming down the edge of my Fresh Freesia layer here. And we'll add another little bit up there. And then we are going to stamp our sentiment. So on the inside of the card, and we're going to actually do this twice because we're going to do the sentiment for the front as well. So we're going to stamp this one for the inside and this scrap to punch for the front. So let's start with our solid heart. It was sitting right in front of me. Couldn't see it for looking. So I'm going to stamp in fresh freesia. I'm going to stamp my solid heart. This is on my layer for the inside. And then I'm also going to stamp my layer for my label. And then we need our Highland Heather. And we're going to use this little sort of stitched heart. These layer really quite nicely. Let me show you. So I'm just going to, and now I should have really done the stitch one first. It's easier to center it if you do it that way. I was not thinking, but that's okay. I'm a little off center. My stamping can be a little off center too. And then we're going to add our sentiments. So I'm stamping my sentiments in black just so that they stand out. So we're going to stamp, sending you a big hug for the inside of our card. And what I love about this, it's not mushy, right? So you can wish anybody a happy Valentine's Day and send them a hug. It doesn't have to be a romantic person, romantic interest. And then I'm going to stamp Happy Valentine's Day across this one. And then before we punch this out, we are going to add our frame in Pool Party. And again, I'm going to ink this and stamp once to make sure I got my stamp good and clean. Because sometimes, you know, that doesn't always happen as we would like it to. Let's just make sure that's going to be straight. There we go. Oh, I'm glad you like them, Cindy. Thank you so much. All right, so let's pop this out. And then I'm going to show you a little trick. So to see how the backside of my label is the same color as my card base. So because my label is going to hang off the edge, it's kind of a thing for me to have the inside of my card look nice and clean. So I'm going to punch an extra Pool Party label. And I'm going to go ahead and glue that to the backside of my stamp label. And that's just going to ensure that the inside of my finished card looks nice and tidy. So we're just going to layer those, and I like to flip it over and make sure it's perfectly layered. I don't want to see any Pool Party peeking out. Okay, but that way my card's going to look just nice and tidy and finished. Okay, all right, so we'll set that aside for a second. We're going to glue our inside panel down. So we'll grab a little glue and pop that on. And then that is going to get glued inside our card. I don't typically do the insides of my cards on lives, but this one, because it is visible when the card is closed, I figured I better do it to show you. So we're going to layer that inside our card base. Okay, and that's what it looks like when it's closed. Then we're going to add our little label. Now, I wanted my label, the points on my hearts, to line up with the edge of that fresh freesia mat. Okay, so I'm going to make sure I only put 2 dimensionals on. So what I like to do, this is how I want it to go. So I'm going to flip this over so I know which side to put my dimensionals on. You don't want to make a mistake and put them on the wrong side and then stick your card shut. So we'll get rid of our backings, and then we're going to pop that on. Whoopsie, make sure it's straight, Lena. There we go. And you see how that lines up almost perfectly with the edge of my card base there. And then when I open it again, I've got a nice, clean, finished edge. Okay, the last touch, we're going to actually tie a bow on our piece that is here. So I'm just going to take the end of my ribbon spool here. I'm cutting, I don't know, about 8 inches, 10 inches maybe. And then we're going to tie our little bow. Now, what I love about this fresh freesia seam binding is that it is so easy to work with. It ties really nice tight knots. The bow doesn't slip. It's not super sheer. I really love this ribbon, and it's not a lot of bulk to put through the mail because it squishes quite flat. So I'm just going to adjust the size of my tails here and make sure my loops look pretty. There we go. And then we're just going to trim our excess length. There we go. And maybe we'll tuck that tail underneath so it's not covering up our sentiment. Yeah, my bow's a little big. I could have made it smaller, but that's okay. And then our last touch is some of these adorable, let me grab them right here. These adorable embellishments. These are from the Wildflower Birthday Suite. I can't remember what they're called, but they have pool party little dots in them. And that makes me happy. So we're going to add a few of those to the front of our card. There we go. Done and done. You like that one? I really like, can you see the difference? So here, this is before I re-inked my Highland Heather, and this is after. What a difference, eh? Yeah, much better. Okay, let me bring back all of our projects. I'm going to show you a few more ideas using this fun bundle. So there are our 3 from today. Here are a few more. So this is a great masculine card for those of you that struggle with making masculine cards. This is super easy. It's just some punched labels layered on an embossed panel. So there's that one. Here's another take on a baby card in more gender neutral colors. This is the one that I made in my live launch party. I posted this on Monday. And then here are a few that feature some of the stamps from the Bright Borders stamp set. So here's one I did with a really itty bitty shrunken down label and some of the Bloom Impressions Celebration DSP. Here is one using the Corner Bloom Celebration stamp set, and then the label and sentiment from the Bright Border stamp set. And one more, this again was one that I demonstrated, I think in my live, during my launch part, or no, I think I did this during my celebration countdown. Again, and I love the way this label coordinates so nicely with those flowers from the Corner Bloom. Okay, there you go. Lots of ideas with this fun bundle. Party dots. Thank you, Louise. You rock. All right, let me go back so I can say a proper goodbye to all of you. Thank you for joining me today. I went a couple minutes over. I always try to keep it to 45, but sometimes I get too chatty. So thank you for joining me today. I hope you like these projects. Check out this bundle. It's a good one, and you have to get the coordinating stamp set because, you know, if there's an extra stamp set that coordinates with the punch, you need it, right? All right. Thank you for joining me today, everyone. Stay warm, those of you in North America, and those of you in the Southern Hemisphere, enjoy summer while it lasts. I will see you next week for another episode of Tuesday Live at 5. Bye for now.